about 6 o'clock tonight, and 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight, East Coast, 6 o'clock West Coast. President's going to walk out there, and for the first time ever, I believe there will be a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff wearing a Space Force uniform. Am I correct in that?
I am assuming that will be the case. We'll see tonight when we actually turn on our TVs. But I think that will happen.
And what will you feel when you see that tonight?
Well, great pride in our country at recognizing some of the things that are changing around us. Just as the changes that took place when we moved from the hunting, gathering, gardening age to the industrial age, we are moving into a new networked age that is going to change life for all human beings on planet Earth, no matter where you live. And the Space Force and that person in that uniform is a recognition by this country that we as Americans need to lead ourselves into this new future, or we will be led by somebody else.
Now, in the collection of categories of weaponry and mission that the Space Force collects, will they have cyber, General Kwast?
Well, again, sometimes we get trapped into these silos of trying to assume or predict the future of saying, you are going to do this, you are going to do that. The way these take place successfully in history is when you start with new capability, meaning you say, what is the problem? What are we trying to do? You build new capability, and then you decide what mission that capability should do. Otherwise, what you do is you start making assumptions for the future that were true in the past, and it doesn't fit, and you can sometimes lose if you fall into that intellectual trap.
Now, what I'm particularly speaking to is that each of the branches, for example, fly a sort of helicopter for a sort of mission. That's not particular to any of the services. Coast Guard has helicopters, Air Force has helicopters, Army has helicopters, Navy has helicopters. Space Force sits there, and they have a unique mission and a new frontier. Do you expect them to fly helicopters, or are they going to be much more focused on a particular set of instruments and a particular set of capabilities, and when will we know what those are and how they will develop?
Right, and that's a great question. And, the reason everybody flies aircraft is because as we invented the airplane, as the Wright brothers invented the airplane in 1903, the world started figuring out how powerful it was to use the air to travel and to do all kinds of things, communicate, and so everybody needed it within what it was that they were trying to do. The same is going to be true in space. Space is so underutilized right now. We think we work in space by having satellites that fall around the Earth, but it is an entirely new geography. So everybody will benefit from space. Everybody will use space. But the Space Force will, in the future, start defining what they can do that nobody else can do. And that will start emerging as they build new capability. So everybody will use space, but only the Space Force will do those things that nobody else can do. Like, for example, if this evolves the way I think it should, historically, they should defend commerce in space so that anybody that is working as an American in space in any kind of business that is providing goodness and prosperity to our country has somebody that will protect their values, protect their hard work, and bring rule of law and a sense of justice to that environment.
Now, I don't want to go Star Wars on us, but we don't have any capability right now to do that, do we? We don't have a shuttle that's flying. We do have a lot of private sector initiatives in the area of space, but do we have any vehicles that can enter space and return?
Well, we do, and they are growing and emerging more and more every day. So what you're going to see is it's almost as if we as a nation never knew there was an ocean out there. We were just on land, and we were just doing our thing, growing our food, gathering, and we discovered that there was this ocean, and people started building canoes and then boats and then ships. And the same is happening here with space. Space is a geography of resources and potential prosperity, and we are going to explode into it as we go forward. So there are some things, like the X-37 is an example of a It's really a tiny little shuttle, but it can go up into space. It can come back down. And Elon Musk is building the Starship. Jeff Bezos is building his aircraft or spacecraft. And we are literally emerging into an age where it is going to be aviation-like access to space, where you can get into a spacecraft, you can take off, you can be anywhere in the world in less than an hour and back home for dinner. And that will become pedestrian, meaning everybody will do it, just like you fly in a plane to get to L.A., to New York right now.
All right, two very quick questions, General, both about tonight's State of the Union. What is the relationship with NASA, between the Space Force and NASA, and what do you expect the president to say about Space Force and or about NASA tonight? Or what would you like him to say?
Well, I think I would like the president to remind the American people of this power of understanding what is going on around us. And what is going around us is technology is changing world power. And we are moving into a new realm where space is going to change the way we deliver energy and information. And to remind the American people that going forward with the Space Force is a way for America to lead, because some civilization will lead into this new ocean of prosperity. And historically, whoever leads into that new area will define the values. And I want the values of free speech, equality, human rights, and life and liberty. I do not want the values that we see being imposed on those in Hong Kong or the Uyghurs. I want American values in this new prosperous economy, because we value and respect human life.
General Kwast, thank you for joining us. Lieutenant General Steve Kwast, former commander of Air Force Air Education and Training Command, expert in Space Force. Thank you for bringing some perspective for the State of the Union tonight. Of course, I'll have most of the key State of the Union tomorrow. And